Hi, this is Nick Phoenix and Quantum Leap Pianos. I've loaded up a Steinway D to begin with, and I want to show you the microphone mixer. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that there are three mic positions: close, player, and room. And by default, the player mic position always loads up. And I'm just going to load up the other mic positions as well. And once I've got them loaded, I can show you a little bit about how to get a sound out of this instrument. So I'm going to pull down the close and the room and play a little Beethoven. So that's the player mic position, which is sort of the best all-around sound. And I have some convolution reverb up here turned on. So let's just hear it without the reverb. And you can hear that has a pretty good sound. And the reason for that is that just the way the piano was recorded with the mics back a bit, just to really get a complete picture of the sound of the piano. Now, if I load up the just pull up the close mics, you can hear what that sounds like. And this sound is a little bit more familiar. I think a lot of other piano libraries have this sort of a sound. Now, if I put the convolution reverb back on, you can hear what this sounds like with the close mics. You'll notice I have to kind of turn the reverb up quite a bit to get a sound that sort of sounds like a piano in the hall, and it never really quite does, because there's a sort of a separation. It's sort of, there's the sound of the piano and then the sound of the hall. They don't really meld together that well. But if you notice, if I go back to the player position, it's a different story. Now, if I load up the room, let's hear what that sounds like. I'm going to turn off the reverb as well. You can hear that is not the sound of a piano in the hall. It's the sound of a piano in a very large room, and it's a sound stage, so it's that type of sound. So it really emulates the sound of a piano on the stage of a concert hall, but without the hall. So if you now take that sound and then add reverb to it, that's a pretty realistic sound. But for my own tastes, I would mix in a bit of the player to get some definition, to make it really sound like a good recording. If you wanted something a little bit more intimate, I would go with more player and less room. Now that sounds pretty nice. Other options are, we could pull down the player and bring up the close and see what kind of sound we can get like that. So that's a little bit even more intimate. And then I also could go and try a different reverb. Let's try, I don't know, Piano Hall 3. bit of a warmer, larger hall. Another way to control the sound in quantum leap pianos is with lid position. This is a subtle but useful effect. And next to lid position, we have stereo spread, which actually controls the delay between the left and right channels. So this is not a destructive algorithm, doesn't do anything bad to the sound of the piano. So I'm just widening the stereo field, or sort of enlarging the piano. I can also swap the left and right channels. So if I don't like the way the piano is mic'd, I don't like the high notes sort of coming out slightly more on the right hand side, I can swap that with the swap button as well. In the top left-hand corner of the interface, we have sensitivity. And what the sensitivity curve does is it controls the volume of samples depending on what velocity range they're in. It does not manipulate the velocity at all. So whatever velocities your controller is sending to quantum leap pianos is left intact, but the volume is changed. So basically what happens is soft notes can be made softer and loud notes louder by making the sensitivity curve more concave, and vice versa. If you do this, the soft notes will be louder than they should be, and the loud notes will be softer. So this is like a sort of this would be a hyper compressed sort of setting. So generally speaking, I like the curve something like this for the most natural sound. So let's say I wanted it to be very dynamic and really soft, and then have those loud notes pop out more. I could do something like this. Bring the volume up a little bit. Or even more. I've loaded the Bösendorfer 290, or Bosendorfer, however you like to pronounce it. And the thing about this particular Bosendorfer is that it has a very large dynamic range, and it really has a beautiful soft side to it that a lot of Bosendorfers just don't have. So what I want to do is show the soft side, the ambient film score side of this piano. So what I've done is I've loaded player and room mics, and I've put a little bit of stereo spread into the mix, and I changed the reverb from the default EW hall, which is the hall where we recorded our orchestra in, changed that to piano hall 4, which is a bigger hall. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's say I want to take this even further. Let's use the soft pedal samples, press the soft pedal down, and maybe add a little bit more reverb and maybe a little bit more room, and perhaps even let's close the lid position down. So you can see how powerful that is. Playability is one of the most important aspects of a virtual piano, and this is one of Quantum Leap Piano's strong points. The way that we recorded these pianos really captured the resonance of the piano, and this comes through when you play them. Here's another example showing the wide dynamic range of the Bosendorfer 290. Here's a little rock and roll with the Yamaha C7. Another unique thing about Quantum Leap pianos is the articulations that we've sampled. I'm going to go into the browser and load the Steinway master patch. And when you load a master, that means that all the articulations for that instrument are available. If I look here on the left-hand side in the articulations window, I can see sustain, sustain with pedal, repetitions, repetitions with sustain pedal, soft pedal with sustain pedal, staccato, and release trails. And let's talk about repetitions for a second. The repetition samples are unique. They were done, every note was played twice at a very fast tempo. So ding, one note very quickly right after another. And then we cut out that first note. So we get a sample that is just the second note, which is a recording of the string being struck while it's vibrating after it had just been hit. So it has a very unique sound. There's a number of reasons for that. The string is vibrating, and also the way that the hammer actually strikes the string is different from when you initially strike a note when the hammer's been in resting position. So it has a very unique sound, and it's something you'll notice on a lot of sample pianos. If you play very fast repetitions, it sounds, no matter how many velocities, it starts to sound strange or like a machine gun or not quite realistic. And that's very different here with Quantum Leap pianos. Next, I'm going to go down and let's talk about staccato. Now, staccato is an interesting thing because it's been largely overlooked in piano libraries, and the reason is obvious that you can just play the notes short and it's staccato, but uh, actually sampling staccato notes resulted in a very different kind of a sound than just shortening the regular sustain notes because of the way that the notes are released, because of the way they were sampled at a very, very short length. So let me just play you a little something using the regular samples. This is not the staccato samples. Okay, so let's play the same thing, but let's use staccato, and that's accessed just simply by pushing the mod wheel up. So you can see the difference between the two of those. To finish up, I'd like to just discuss a few more small features. One of them is velocity min and max. Here you can limit the velocity. So let's say you don't want to hear those loudest dynamic layers. You can just limit the maximum velocity so you don't hear those. And we actually broke a string on the boson for playing the loud dynamics just to give you an idea about how wide of a dynamic range there is. So go to about 118 and you'll never hear those thunderous loudest dynamics. And also there's some features here in the main menu in the current instrument advanced properties window. Tuning pitch bend intensity, voice limit. You can limit the amount of voices you want to play back, high-low key, and sample purge. And in the bottom left-hand corner we have the envelope. Pretty self-explanatory. And that's about it. So I'm going to play back a little more Beethoven using the Bechstein 280.